Hello, my name is Floris de Clercq, and I would like to welcome you to the Spiritual Perspective podcast. To begin with, and as this is the first in this podcast series, I would like to share with you how I discovered and realized what I call the spiritual perspective process. My reason for sharing this process is because it is an effective mindset that has helped me get through difficult, challenging, and testing times. First, a bit of personal history and how I came to understand the process. One of my abilities, or maybe it can be called a talent, is that I am aware and lucid in my dream state. From my perspective, it's not about falling asleep and drifting into a muddled dream, but rather falling asleep here and waking up with full awareness in another place, another time, or in another world. Sometimes in a different body, or just as an invisible observer. The lucid dreams that I experience are like entering another layer of this world, or as I call it, another layer of this program where I am not restricted by the heaviness of the physical realm. Many of these experiences and encounters have helped shape my perspective of this world. Therefore, most of the information and practices that I will be sharing in this podcast has its roots in my own experiences with personal development and awareness training, as well as personal encounters with different teachers from within the many realms of the simulation. I would like to make it clear that this podcast is not suited to everyone. It is only for those who desire to step out of their comfort zones and into the unknown realms and layers of the simulation. And yes, there are many layers and realms which I refer to as the various programs which make up this simulation we call our universe. As a dream walker, one thing becomes clear. Everything within the simulation is interconnected. Some realms or programs appear heavenly, and some hellish, some appear fixed, while some are in constant change. It all depends on the perceptual filters through which you perceive, frame, and interpret them. Different realms require different bodies that are conducive to that specific environment. For example, you can only travel and function in the astral realm with an astral body, or the higher spiritual realm with a light body. However, one thing is clear. Within the collective mind simulation, all individual forms on all levels of awareness experience reality through perceptual filters relating to the vibrational frequency of the realm in which they find themselves in. The point I'm trying to make is, within the simulated universe, regardless of whether you are operating through a physical, astral, or light body, depending on where you are, you might not be able to change the realm or program you find yourself in, but you can change how you use perceptual filters to reinterpret and frame experiences. So, by changing or reimagining how you perceive and frame a person, place, or experience, you shift into a timeline that corresponds with your perceived projection. It happens in the spiritual realms, the lucid astral realms, and it clearly happens here in this perceived dense earthly realm. The key is your present state of awareness and how you use your mind. Regardless of which spiritual form or physical body you occupy, or which realm you enter, your state of awareness and how you use your mind will determine whether you create your own heaven or hell. The spiritual perspective process only became clear to me after I experienced what I called in my Wholeness of Being book the paradigm shift. In the paradigm shift experience, I realized that you do not live in the world, but the world you perceive is in your consciousness. In other words, you are not in the room, but the room you perceive to be in is in your consciousness. So, who are you if everything you perceive is in your consciousness? Who are you if you are the source of your experience? And this is where the disciplined practice of present stillness comes into play. In present stillness, you experience the observer, the formless awareness that is present as the simulated universe, as the many realms and dream worlds, as the many forms, beings, and bodies playing out stories in pockets of time within the simulated universe. From the reference point of the observer, which is the spiritual perspective, you are the awareness, aware that your consciousness is anchored in the perceptual realms and programs of the simulator, experiencing lifelong adventures and stories through the eyes and awareness of a physical vehicle. So the advantage of understanding and practicing the spiritual perspective process is that you can observe and recognize how your body-mind vehicle, your ego, frames, perceives, and interprets the adventures and stories you experience within your perceived reality. Remember, nothing changes until you perceive and frame it differently. The universe is like an interactive simulator that reacts to your conscious and subconscious demands and commands. Being the observer of your dramas, your adventures and stories within the simulator is helpful for overall healing, whether on the physical or spiritual level. In a physical, astral, or light body, the filters through which you perceive, interpret, and frame your experiences will determine how connected or disconnected you are from your true nature of being, which is Source. The spiritual perspective process is about removing the dense veils of confusion and the programming that hypnotizes us into ideas and beliefs that we are separate and disconnected from our true nature of being, which is Source. Just by shifting how we perceive and interpret anything can make a lifetime of difference in how we experience this wonderful opportunity to explore the adventures of this simulated universe. So join me in this podcast as I chat about how we can look at life from the spiritual perspective, from a place where we are all interconnected and where we can find balance, harmony, and love in our lives.